If you really wanted happiness, you would already have it. You say you want to be happy, but if happiness knocked on your door tonight quiet, simple, undramatic, I'm not sure you would open it, because happiness would ask you to let go of things you still holding on to. It would ask you to release the chaos you secretly identify with. It would ask you to stop telling the story of how hard everything has been. And that's where it gets uncomfortable. Welcome back to Quiet Thinking. If reflections like this resonate with you, consider subscribing. It genuinely supports the channel and gives me the motivation to keep creating these quiet conversations. Now, I used to say I just wanted to be happy. That was the goal, right? Be happier, feel lighter, stress less, enjoy life more. It sounded simple, but when I looked at my actual behavior, it didn't match the goal at all. I stayed in conversations that drained me. I replayed old arguments in my head. I held on to resentment like it proved something. I overworked myself and then complained about being exhausted. And I started to wonder, if I really wanted happiness, why was I protecting the very things that made me unhappy? That question stayed with me, because sometimes we don't actually want happiness. We want familiarity. And for many of us, stress is familiar. Overthinking is familiar. Disappointment is familiar. Even frustration can feel strangely safe. Happiness, on the other hand, feels unfamiliar, and unfamiliar things require change. Real happiness is quiet. It doesn't come with dramatic highs. It doesn't make you feel superior. It doesn't give you a powerful identity. It's steady. And steady can feel boring if you reuse to emotional intensity. I realized there were parts of me that didn't want peace. Peace would mean I could blame my circumstances anymore. Peace would mean I had to take responsibility for my choices. Peace would mean letting go of the identity of the one who is struggling. And struggle, in a strange way, can make you feel important. When you're always stressed, you feel needed. When you're always busy, you feel valuable. When you're always chasing something, you feel alive. But when things become calm, you're left alone with yourself. No drama to point at, no chaos to manage, no crisis to solve, just you. And that can feel unsettling. I remember a period in my life when things were actually okay. Work was stable. My relationships were steady. There were no major problems. And instead of feeling grateful, I felt restless. I kept looking for something to fix, something to improve, something to worry about. It was like my mind didn't trust calm. I had spent so much time operating in survival mode that peace felt suspicious. Maybe you've felt that too. When things are finally going well, you start anticipating what will go wrong. You scan for threats that aren't there. You create pressure where there was none. Because if you let yourself relax fully, you have to admit that this simple moment is enough. And enough can be hard to accept. We say we want happiness. But happiness often requires letting go of comparison, letting go of constant ambition, letting go of proving yourself, letting go of the version of you that thrives on being overwhelmed. It requires slowing down. And slowing down can feel like losing momentum. In a world that celebrates hustle, intensity, and constant growth, quiet contentment doesn't look impressive. You can post it. You can measure it. You can compete with it. It just exists softly. And sometimes we sabotage that softness because it doesn't match the image we've built of ourselves. If you've built your identity around being the strong one, the busy one, the ambitious one, the one who endures, then who are you without the struggle? That question can be more uncomfortable than unhappiness itself. So we stay in patterns that reinforce who we think we are. We say yes when we want to say no. We chase goals we're not sure we even care about. We hold on to anger because it gives us a sense of clarity. Anger feels sharp, happiness feels gentle, and gentle can feel vulnerable. There's also something else we don't talk about enough. Happiness requires presence, and presence requires you to stop living in the future. A lot of us postpone happiness. I'll be happy when I get the promotion, when I move, when I find the right partner, when I fix this one last thing. The future becomes the container for joy. But when the future finally arrives, the goalposts move, because chasing keeps you distracted, and stillness forces you to evaluate whether the chase was ever necessary. I had to admit that part of me enjoyed the chase more than the arrival. The chase gave me direction. It gave me urgency. It gave me an excuse to postpone contentment. If I am always almost there, I never have to decide whether here is enough. That realization was uncomfortable, not dramatic, just quietly confronting, because it meant I was participating in my own dissatisfaction. Not intentionally, not maliciously, just unconsciously. And that's the thing. This isn't about blaming yourself for not being happy. It's about noticing the subtle ways you resist it. Do you dismiss compliments quickly? Do you downplay your progress? Do you immediately look for what's missing instead of what's present? Those habits don't come from nowhere. Sometimes happiness feels undeserved. Sometimes it feels temporary, so we don't let ourselves fully experience it. Sometimes we're afraid that if we relax, we'll lose our edge. But here's what I've started to understand. Happiness isn't the absence of ambition. It's the absence of inner conflict. You can still grow. You can still strive. But without constantly telling yourself that where you are is insufficient. Real happiness is quieter than we expect. It does erase sadness. It doesn't remove difficulty. It just removes the constant resistance to reality. And resistance is exhausting. If you truly wanted happiness, you'd have to release certain narratives. The narrative that you read behind, the narrative that everyone else is ahead, the narrative that you only valuable when you achieving. Letting those go can feel like losing part of yourself. But maybe that part was never meant to define you. I'm still learning this. There are days I catch myself creating pressure for no reason, turning small things into big threats, postponing rest because I feel like I haven't earned it. And when I slow down enough to see it, I don't judge it. I just notice, oh, there it is again. The part of me that says happiness must be earned through exhaustion. But what if it does? What if happiness is less about achieving something new and more about allowing what's already here? Allowing calm, allowing satisfaction, allowing a moment to be complete without improving it. That kind of allowance feels almost radical, because it requires trust. Trust that you don't need constant tension to stay relevant. Trust that peace won't make you weak. Trust that you are allowed to feel okay, even if everything isn't perfect. Maybe you don't actually want to be happy. Maybe you want to feel in control. Maybe you want to feel significant. Maybe you want to feel certain. Happiness doesn't always give you those things, but it does give you space. Space to breathe, space to think clearly, space to exist without constantly proving something. And that space can feel unfamiliar at first. But unfamiliar doesn't mean wrong. It just means new. So maybe the question isn't how do I become happier? Maybe it's, what am I unwilling to release that keeps happiness at a distance? That's a quieter question, a more honest one. And you don't have to answer it all at once. Just notice where you tighten. Notice where you resist ease. Notice where you create pressure that no one else is asking you to carry. Sometimes the path to happiness isn't about adding more. It's about subtracting the unnecessary tension and letting yourself be okay. Not extraordinary, not optimized. Just okay. That might be harder than it sounds, but it might also be closer than you think. This is quiet thinking. I'm glad you're here.